Alright, welcome back, chess lovers. Hopefully you were just watching the other segments that we have on how Alireza whooped Magnus. That was not the official name, but yeah, that was a very fun game to watch. The end game was so weird because, you know, usually when Magnus has advantage, Magnus gets the job done. But in this situation, he did not. He blew that advantage right out of the park. Like, that was the end of my sentence, actually. And so, yeah, that was a very bad game for Magnus. It was the first round, so hopefully you can sleep at night. Sorry, Magnus. And this one, it's going to be seeing how Aronian is going to whoop Firouzja. So Alireza is white in this game, and in the game that we just watched, this is the same tournament. That was just the first round. This is a few rounds after that. I think it was the 6th round, but please do correct me if I'm wrong on which round this was. Anyways, so in this game, again, Alireza played Vienna, but I think he had lost the element of surprise, so that could have had some hand in him not winning, well, not really doing as well as he did, at least in the opening segment of it, compared to the game that he played against Magnus. And so here, Aronian played it differently, which I think is kind of cool. Do you see any cool ideas right out of the bat here? Can black create some issues for white right now? Because the previous game was bishop c5, we mentioned that we also like the bishop b4 ideas. So what do you think? Anything else besides those? Yeah, Mr. Briggs, yeah, you're correct. Knight e4 is something to consider, but I would not suggest knight e4 if you do not play it frequently. You gotta know what's going on in the opening. So knight e4, and taking of it d5, and black already gets a little initiative, so yeah, careful with that. Even if you play f5s or such, it's not gonna be as interesting. I mean, black already is better. Even f5 is good. Even if you don't want to play f5, bishop d6 is another good one, and your bishop c5. Like, black already has momentum. Very good. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I wanted to mention just super quick right now, because in the last game it was also knight f6, but I mentioned that knight c6 is doable too. This is like mid, like 2012, 13, 14, 15. These g3 ideas were so common, and it was so bothersome because, like, as black, I couldn't really figure out how to play. So instead of playing knight f6, I switched to knight c6. So when you would play g3, I wouldn't have my knight on f6, so I could just, you know, delay this knight development, and I would just go for h5. And it's funny because one of the games that I'm very proud of, I was like barely 200, still not even WIM. That's like 2014, yeah. And I was playing against Mamadov, which is like a Azerbaijani grandmaster, 2650 plus, very strong, and I drew with this as black, and it was very funny because it was the first round, and I could see that he was underestimating me because every move he would make the move, go out, smoke, watch other games, and like spend 10 minutes, and he would come back, sit, make a quick move, and I was like, all right, so let's see how you play when you're a little busted. And the game ended in a draw, but I had advantage, but that wasn't the point. The point was like I had because it was so popular, I knew that if he wanted to beat easy a little girl with like 400 less rating point, that's what he would play, because I got the chance to prepare a little before the game, like just 10 minutes. I just checked some quick games, and so that's what I decided. And I remember I was looking, and like Magnus had played a bunch of these from white and black too back in 2014. So I just wanted to kind of mention that in Vienna this idea also exists, so make sure to think of that too. So g6.
Why wouldn't you want to play h5 after g3 here?
You can, but with knight c6 when g3 h5, it kind of makes it a little bit more strong, just a little bit. And I remember that later on, like there were so many other games that was played, and like sometimes you want to just get this knight to e7 then g6. This is another weakness, because if this happens, this f4 is a good square for you to jump into. Yeah, so yeah, keep that in mind. Just make sure you have your repertoire on g3 ideas as well. So knight f6, there, that, and queen h5 was played. So after queen h5, black ate a pawn, but what now? We are going to give it back, right? So what do you think black should do?
Not g6.
Not g6, I agree with that.
Queen f3? Or, queen f6?
Queen f6, maybe, but even if you do this queen f6, I see what you're going for,
Well, it's more
but
a defensive move, I was thinking. But, well, I guess you're losing your knight.
well,
It's tough, I don't know.
queen f6, I think, what do you do after this?
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, you kind of lose your d5 ideas. Alright. So we gotta figure out how to protect all these threats. So my knight could defend the f7, so let's go for that first. That's the most important one. Bishop b3. Now, we're not going to be taking too much time on defending this pawn. I mean, yes, you can definitely do knight c6, but then this is going to be a very, very big problem because your knight is super overloaded, and this knight can't hold your whole position together. So we should develop, but at the same time we should develop so that we can castle. So bishop e7 is what to do. But it's like, imagine in the game you play this knight e4 and you don't know what to do after queen h5. So you gotta know your theory to some extent. Alright, so knight e6, bishop moves, bishop e7, bam, finally castle. Now this is quite a I don't want to say equal, but both players have equal chances. Nobody's right now better. Nobody has like a crazy idea coming up. It's just about developing and kicking queens. So now, how can I try to get my bishop out? Because that's a big problem, right?
I mean, maybe knight e8, if not knight e8, maybe b6.
So knight d8 makes sense, I agree, but do we want to do it right away, or can we try to poke around a little bit more? Violetta, moving the b pawn, like something like b5 or b6 are also doable and quite interesting, I agree. Also, I agree. We should be careful on those bishop f7s early on to try to draw our king out. So that's another reason to know your openings. Because if you know your openings, you know, okay, so that's a bad move, so I don't need to really worry about it.
Knight a5 looks like a wasted move.
Why?
Because bishop, I guess b5.
And then you move. Then you can move this knight, and then you can try to poke the bishop better.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at c6 immediately.
But I also agree, if you don't know the theory, it's highly unlikely you're going to choose knight a5. b6 makes sense, knight d8 makes sense. These are the moves that make sense. So I think those are more human moves rather than something like knight a5. Knight a5 is still very doable. There's nothing wrong with it, but it just feels unnatural. So knight a5, bishop d5, and this was played. And I think it's kind of funny because now Alireza went for bishop f3 and Levon played bishop b4, and here Alireza did a novelty. He did d5. So how do we feel about this? This d5, good, bad? And I'm gonna take a second to show you the a3 line. That is kind of funny because Alireza had played the exact same thing against Levon on at a tournament on chess.com last year, So I think it's kind of funny that he keeps repeating his openings. Very bold. Yeah, so this was something that happened, and Alireza ended up winning this game as white. So this wasn't the first encounter that they had in this line, so it makes sense for Alireza to have improvised and played this novelty with d5. When you're on such high level chess, you gotta surprise your opponents in the opening as much as you can. So d5 has a very clear threat.
I guess the idea is also preventing black from playing d5.
Yeah.
'Cause in the last game, he won against, I don't know.
It wasn't the exact same line, but yeah. It was a lot of prevention too. So this does make sense. d5 kind of already blocks your chances, makes you a little unhappy. And that's what chess is about, making your opponent unhappy. I need some quotes. Alright, so d5, what now? What do you think black should do? Shall we take it over here?
Yeah. Probably and play d6 maybe?
Playing d6, maybe.
Well, I mean taking and then playing d6.
I agree, but d6 or b6. So I agree, let's get rid of this first, and then how should we get this bishop out? b6 or d6?
Well, b6, what after d6? If white plays d6? I guess just bishop b7.
We just take it with the knight.
Rook.
Oh, that would have been
Yeah, I guess after bishop e6, you get d6 and then bishop e7 and then...
Well, there is one very interesting line here. Bishop b7 is fine, but there is something even better than that. c6 is also fine, but we want something stronger. The fact that this king is uncastled should be winking at you. So any winks? Yeah, bishop a6.
Why though?
Well, I don't want you to castle. And if you take it, I'll just take with the queen, and now my queen is also going to inflict some pain. If not, the knight's coming up. It's the momentum, the initiative, momentum, all of these little fun big words. Might be really hard to decide over the board though, so yeah. Power of bishops.
Is this a blitz game?
Rapid, yeah. Short time control. So yeah, d6 would not work, and Alireza didn't do it. He just developed like a normal move. And castle, knight d6 is very tempting. I really like it. He went for queen f6. I can't tell you why, because both of them seem to be good enough. Maybe perhaps queen f6 if take. Now it's black is better just because little better, just because there's so many weak pawns. Black's pieces are more coordinated. Black can get pieces more in better position faster. Black can get more pieces in better positions faster. There we go.
Well, playing queen f6 lets you develop the knight while getting rid of your less active queen. And it's also making threats along that diagonal.
Yeah. Knight d6 puts the knight in a very good position. c4 square is mine. And it also makes sense. I want to do rook e8, but then you don't know what to do with your queen. So I agree. Queen f6 makes more sense at the end of the day. Now queen a4, attacking pawn.
There's a threat of, I guess, bishop takes e2, maybe?
Not at the moment. So let me try to poke your brain. Is this a real threat? Is queen d7 really a threat, or is more like a...
Get your rook in the game. Because you get rook d8, right?
Yeah, kind of gives you the tempo, loses the tempo, yeah. Master Beaks, whoa. Oh, okay, makes sense. There's the eagle. So young player being weak in the end game, maybe, but we just watched a game of Magnus getting whooped in the end game by Alireza, so I wouldn't really base my strategy on that. So I feel like it's split. Is this a real threat? Because if yes, we have to worry about it, then we should probably do like rook d8 to defend it. If it's not a real threat, then we can just develop the knight. So which one is it? Alright, I'm saying more in favor of rook d8.
Yeah, I feel like it is a threat maybe, because then also c7 is under attack.
Yes, but if knight d6 take, we're not gonna just play rook d8. We're gonna go for the bigger fish. Yeah, this is a very good way of developing, because you see that it's like you're bluffing a little. Actually, that's not true, because bluffing is white was bluffing about the pawn, so black kind of just called it, and you're just developing. You're going for actual knight, and now white has to figure out a way to stop it. Rook e8 rook e1 does not work. Does anybody want to tell me why rook e1 doesn't work?
Can I ask a question? Why not rook f to e8?
I think this works too, but I think rook e8, you don't want to leave anything hanging for future references, but it doesn't mean that it's not good. Rook e8 just is a little bit more solid, because rook e1. Now, what do you want to do after rook e1? This is a pin, so we would really want to use that.
Queen takes c3.
Cool.
Yeah, that gets pretty sharp. Well,
Queen c3. What if he just develops the bishop then?
yeah.
I think this is also okay, but this is also fine. Black does hold some advantage, but this is even stronger. Take, and just bring your knight. The bishop can't really go anywhere. The queen is kind of just pretty useless here.
Where's the knight going? e5?
Not really, no. It's just gonna chill here for a minute. Let's say you play, I don't know, rook b1. Then I can eat over here. Let's say you can't really defend this one. Let's say you play queen h3 to defend the pawn. Now I'm gonna slowly just develop my rooks.
Well, if you play rook e4, then you just get bishop, white, queens. Well, bishop will go somewhere.
Take. I kind of like this. Or even if you're worried about that, you can just do rook e5. I prefer rook e4 because it keeps my queen open.
Right.
Even if you don't go there, actually, yeah, this is what makes the most sense. Queen g3, now bring in the knight, and eventually eat this. Even if you did now, I can eat over here, and I can now push pawn. My pieces are way too active for just one pawn. Actually, I was wrong. Even if not one pawn, we got the pawn back, but my pieces are way more active for the pawn that we gave a little earlier. Alright, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Rook e1 doesn't work, so Alireza went for bishop e3, which was also did not work. Queen g4 was the only move that could have tried to hold it, because if queen g4, you are trying to, defend over here. Rook e5, rook e1 kind of puts up a better fight, because now my rook is blocking my queen too, but black still does have advantage. So Still unpleasant. Alright, so let's say bishop e3. Now what do we do? Try to identify which one of your pieces is the most useless one, and just go from there.
The knight a5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Or the
nice.
knight on a5 to, yeah, to c4.
Yeah, knight c4. Best one. Now, bishop d4. Should we move the queen or should we block it?
I mean, why create a pin if you don't have to?
Well, because it's not just a pin, you're also doing a fork.
Yeah, threatening to take the check. Right?
Yeah.
And the queen.
Mm-hmm.
Although, if you play queen g6, there's maybe the idea of bishop c8. Well, I guess the bishop's on f3, so that's not a huge threat.
Knight e5 makes the most sense. If you were to move this queen, that is okay, but now opponent gets the chance to start breathing, basically. And it's not the piece. I mean, you still have advantage, but we don't want opponent pieces to get the chance to untangle. I guess that's a better word. But yeah, that's a big problem right now. Again, black still does hold considerable advantage, but it's more annoying to go for knight e5, and you can't exactly take it because that only just helps me. And if you don't take it, you gotta move the queen. Now, should I take it or do we see anything better?
Can you win a piece by taking it? Well, I guess knight takes f. Is the knight on e2 not hanging?
Well, there's still our queen.
Yeah, but knight takes with check, and then if he takes with the g pawn, you play queen g6 check, or oh, then you get knight, I guess g3, right? But then the rook.
Well, actually, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You are kind of getting the piece. Knight f3 is the best one. Take, and queen g6 or queen g5, I think they're equally good. I don't really see any difference. And king h1 was played. So what do you think king h1? What do you think is the idea for white?
Playing, I guess, rook g1.
Yeah, you want to try to create some counterplay.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the best way to block this idea? And just to quickly mention, knight g3 would just eat the rook, and something like queen g3, I kind of just want to exchange this. I would just take this, honestly. It's
Yeah,
kind of, it might not be the most accurate one, but I would take and I would eat one of these pieces and voila. So king h1, we know what white wants. So how can we try to block this idea?
Well, the knight is still pinned, so I guess you don't necessarily need to take it right away. I was thinking queen takes on d5.
So queen d5 is actually what happened in the game. That was a mistake. So here Aronian kind of blew the advantage because right now this is like +3 at least, but they made a mistake.
Knight f5.
Knight f5 also still kind of blows it. Where is planning to go with the queen?
Right.
Yeah.
About queen d2.
Hmm.
Right, so you
This.
get rook g1 anyway. Well, not here, earlier.
Ah, how does that help?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. You still would have to play this f6 to block this. So yeah, what do you guys think? Rook g1 is happening. How can we do the best one to stop it? Yeah, I think the chat is correct to want to do f6 or bishop c8, but I don't like bishop c8. f6 makes more sense. If rook g1, now we can do this bishop c8. Because if you take now, I'll take over here, and the rook is under attack, the knight is under attack. Rook g3, I can just eat over here. You take this. I really want to eat this. Yeah, g6 makes the most sense.
So I guess we're not actually winning a piece because of rook g1.
Not necessarily, but we have enough advantage to comfortably continue this game. There are too many weak pieces here.
Knight's a perfect blocker.
Yep. And I don't really see any good ideas for white. I think the lack of ideas for white is the biggest problem too. Weak pawns, an extra pawn, another weak pawn. Anyways, that would be a good way to win, but Aronian made a mistake and he simply took here. Poof, the whole advantage went away. Now Alireza is a little better. It's so fun how chess, all the advantage just goes poof. Alright, rook g1, clear threat. Now you have to play f6. You could consider g6, but then knight f4, and yeah, f6 is the best one to do to try and defend. Knight f4. Now knight f4, Alireza blew it. This is so much fun for me. So let's see, white to move. What do you think is the best move for white? How can you have like a single move to keep advantage? What do you think that single move is?
I want it to be rook takes g7, but I know it's not.
Why not?
I mean, you don't have a light square bishop. I feel like, I don't know, tactically, like, looking for tactics, that's the first thing I look at. But after king takes, maybe rook g1, check, king king h8, and then, oh yeah, and then you get rook, oh, wait, it's hard to say.
So it's more about which one gives you the best chance, not necessarily, and then when you realize that this is the one that gives you the best chance, then it's about just calculating it. And I mean, I understand it's a little weird, but rook g7, you have to take it. That's the only option. Rook g1, you can't really go to f7 because that's going to be very fun. So you gotta put this king on h8, and now the one final piece that's not working will join. Now this bishop is pretty useless over here. Knight g6 is happening, and you can't really stop it, and you're going to lose the queen. So this would actually give white the very reasonable winning chance. It's not that black would be completely out of the game, but still, this would give white the best winning chance, +2 at least. So that's why queen d5 was wrong, because it gives this rook g7. If you were just going to play chill moves like this, that's perfectly fine. I can just come exchange my queen. And in the game, white didn't choose to exchange the queens, and he just kind of went for queen h6. So now, clear threat, we gotta defend it. Rook f7 or rook e7, these two make the most sense. My rook is already doing something here, so I'm gonna let this rook be. I'm just gonna go for rook f7. And now, rook g3. What is the threat with rook g3? What does white want?
Rook ag1, maybe?
Maybe. What else?
Rook to h3.
Uh,
And was thinking that too at first.
So what else can we think of? Yeah, thank you, anonymous in the chat. Knight h5. Yeah, knight h1 is a big thing that right now white wants. Rook h1, rook g1 is also another one. So queen c2 was played, and after taking on c2, knight h5, and boom, knight f5. So black is already much better right now. So that's yeah, that's something that's not very pretty. I do want to go back to that rook g7 and spend just a little bit more time on it, but let's see how can black win this. Let's say knight f6. Now what do we do? Careful not to get checkmated.
Well, you have to go king f8.
Can you take it?
I guess the knight's defending. Yeah, I guess you could take it.
Alright.
No, you could, and then queen takes. Maybe.
That is true. Taking, you have to consider what if queen takes. So what if queen takes?
Can we just
Yeah?
knight takes g3?
Yeah. Easy peasy. If queen takes, just take this and take the queen. Voila. If rook g7, now what? Well, I mean, we have to take it. Then take over here. Now what do we do?
Queen g6.
Yeah, now we have to come back and defend this. Because if we didn't, that's literally the only move. If not, rook g1 is also coming up. And that's the only move to win. And then queen g6, rook g1. Now what?
Just take the queen.
Well, if we take the queen, the bishop will take it and the knight will fall.
Oh yeah, I didn't see you don't have bishop e7.
Yeah.
Or sorry, rook e7.
So maybe let's take a minute and think what to do here.
Ooh, no, that was.
Also from the chat, any questions from the earlier positions? Because surprisingly, this game was faster than I expected it to be.
I was curious why you played rook g3 before playing knight h5. I don't know
Okay,
why you just
well-
played knight h5.
The queen would take it, or take f3 with check.
Oh right.
We'll go back and address it because the game is almost over here. So let's see. White wants my queen. That's clear. So how can we save this? Taking is okay, kind of blows a lot of the advantage. So is there anything else that could that I could face this?
I looked at rook e1, but I don't think it really accomplishes anything.
Not really.
Then also maybe
Who is anonymous?
probably doesn't work. I was looking at bishop b7,
Hmm.
but the queen is defending.
Your rook is too out of it.
Yeah.
Anonymous, you are too strong. Aw.
I mean rook f8. No, that was.
So, yeah, okay, now everybody in the chat is saying it too. Yeah, so,
Oh, queen takes g3?
Yeah.
Does that work?
yeah,
And,
because after take, just rook here,
Yeah.
king up, check, and the queen drops.
Ah.
Yeah. A lot of fun. Not necessarily mating net, but queen eating net. No, this was a fun game, and actually, Firouzja just resigned here. Because if you take it, then black is gonna have like an itty bitty advantage in the end game that's not even gonna be worth mentioning it. But that was a very short game, so we have some extra time. Let's go back and look at the earlier position, see if anybody has any questions. So what do you guys think? There was a question on rook g3, I think. So here? Anonymous, he was already losing. It wasn't about missing or not. The only thing that he could have done differently was this knight f4. Here, white had a serious chance of getting pretty decent advantage, but white kind of messed it up. It was a move order problem. Yeah. Knight f4, you gotta bring the queen back, kaboom. Move it, check. Actually, can I just go over here? Yeah. And let's say another check, and well, actually I can't move this because there's that, so with that. Maybe let's check over here on g4. King h8. Actually, this is a very critical position. What do you guys think white should do here? Because only one move holds advantage. The other one's kind of give black chance to equalize. Bahkin is stuck. Good for you. Being stuck is not fun. Anonymous, I don't know the story behind it, but probably, yeah, that would make sense. Okumu, yeah, we did. That's like knight f4 was the move that was played in the real game with knight instead of rook g7, but that kind of blew up the advantage completely. So white to move, just one single move. Let's think about it logically. You want to eat my knight. I can't really touch my knight because I would get rook e1. You can do knight d3, but if you play knight d3, I can still go for like c5, and then you gotta move this bishop, and then I can bring this bishop back. Black gets a lot of initiative. So we want to take over here. So white, what can white do to try to stop him? You can't exactly run with the knight, so any tricky ideas?
I
A lot of pressure.
give a check, but I don't really see the follow through.
So how can we use this diagonal?
Maybe knight g5 check?
Hmm.
I mean, it's worth looking
Not really. You don't really have enough pieces to use it. So we want to be able to, if you take, I want to be able to take back and give you check. So how can I organize that? Giving check with the knight will not help us. Nope. Sorry, chat. Sacrificing the bishop, more like blundering it. Nuh-uh.
Knight d7.
Knight d7 still doesn't really do us that good because we still have this check. Or if you want to be too cute, we can do this.
Well, you just drop the queen after rook e1.
I don't think it's dropping it.
About rook g8. Oh, right.
But still, bishop c8, this is still very annoying. So not that. Knight d7, not knight d7. How about, ooh, Persians. Not Aspuria, I think you have the wrong square because queen f5, just the knight takes it. but queen f4 is the right one, yeah. After queen f4, white simply wants to, if you take it, they want to take back, and I think that's a, now that's a fairy tale. That's how, yep, that's how you give checkmate. But yeah, so queen f4 would be the best idea. Whoa, you can give check first here, and anyways, you gotta get this queen to f4, and taking is not really possible. And so what else? And unfortunately right now black is still quite busted, because next move I'm gonna go knight g4, and your checking stuff is not gonna work anymore. f6 is very stuck. That's how white would win it if this line happens. This rook g7 only works because of this idea of getting the queen to f4. So it makes sense that white didn't play it if they didn't really see this queen f4 last move. So yeah, it was a very beautiful game, because there was a lot of little tactics in it that white missed, black missed, but overall black had a better game. Especially, I really enjoyed the maneuvers that black was doing in the opening. I thought it was very crazy for how black just like started moving around with these two knights without any scariness. Without being scared, and it was quite scary to just like b6 here with the idea bishop a6 is very mind-blowing. So yeah, I really enjoyed this game, and I think where white went wrong was with this idea, and having this pin, it would make more sense to either try to keep the queen local in the king side or just unpin yourself. I think those would be the better choices. So Troy boy, I hope you will have lovely dreams about Magnus. This should be fun, and I think Bach is still Google translating. Good for you, learning new words. Alright guys, I'm gonna call it a day. This was a very short game. I enjoyed it. I got grocery shopping to do and a very chunky cat to attend. Alright, this was very fun. This was our first live in-person lesson in St. Louis after 16 months? Since last March. Yeah. So if you are in St. Louis, please make time to join us. Today we had people joining us. Thank you. If you're not in St. Louis, we'll get on a plane. And if you can't do that, well, join us live here pretty much every day from now on, because there's going to be classes left and right. And with that, have a great 4th weekend.